No.
Sweet,
Okay.
got it.
I don't know if entry-wise is a word. I'm just going to hyphenate that, and then it's definitely a word.
Yeah, totally.
All right, so we said...
Vlad was supposed to do a Casper course a while ago, but I don't think that happened. Anyway, okay, let's continue.
Yeah, so... Yeah, right. All right, so Dave only sees Alice's message and his own message. All right, so we can talk about the scores for each of the entries, right? So it's looking like 1 and 2 are the possibilities for the first entry, each with score 1. So from my understanding, Dave can just choose whatever he wants at that point.
Which most likely should, like, the implementation would just choose himself, right?
Right, that's what I think. If you have freedom to choose, why wouldn't you just choose the thing you already sent out? Unless, you know, I don't know, you're trying to equivocate or something. But all right.
I mean, interesting question. Does Dave have absolute freedom to choose, or does he have freedom to choose between the entries that he's already seen? I think it's got to be restricted to what he's already seen, right? Or else we actually aren't guaranteed consensus ever.
Yeah. Right.
Because otherwise we could produce like 7, 9 right here.
Yeah, it could be the case that you only ever see one other person's message and, you know, everybody has the same weight and you just keep changing to something completely new, right?
Right, right.
I almost feel like it should just be, you know, like you just reproduce the same message, you know, your same last message, unless there's compelling reason not to.
Yeah, I think that rule would definitely give us consensus. I just think it might be a stronger requirement than necessary to give consensus.
Right.
Like,
yeah, I mean,
we'll also get consensus if we allow him to choose Alice's. Anyway, 2-4 is definitely valid. Or whatever.
Oh, but interesting. So in this case, we could even do like 2-3, and it would be a totally different list. But both of those entries have been seen before, right?
That sounds fun. Should we try that?
Sure. Why not?
I'm looking at the consensus or Casper papers now to see if they talk about anything like that.
Yeah, it's a little bit unclear in the binary stuff, because basically it says if the scores are equal, well then it's just like a null value that you estimate. But I don't think that literally means you put a null value there. I think it means, you know, you just kind of choose one.
I disagree that it's unclear. I think it's perfectly clear in the binary consensus because he says that blocks are valid if their estimate is what the estimator returned, or if the estimator returned null.
Right.
So to strip that down to just the parts we care about, the block is valid if the estimator returned null.
Okay, so then okay. Well, then in that case, you can just choose whatever you want, 0 or 1, and regardless, since the estimator is null, it's a valid message.
Yeah, so in binary consensus, we don't have this question of like, can you choose something different altogether? Because in binary consensus, the only things you can choose to begin with already saw. So
right.
There's the question of how it generalizes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's something we'll have to think about later, I think. Yeah, all right, so where are we at now? So everybody's gone a second time except for Alice, so maybe Alice should get a turn. Oh, come on. All right, so let's see. There's not a whole lot of messages that Alice could see without just going to the 1-4. So Alice will see her own.
Yeah, you go.
Yeah, maybe Bob's and Dave's. All right, so if she sees her own message, Bob's message, and Dave's message, what should her entries be?
It should be 1, 3.
Yep, looks like she doesn't change anything, right? Score of 2 for each of those entries, 1 and 3. Okay, cool. Yeah, so let's see. There's not all that many more rounds that we could play before everybody comes to consensus. So maybe let's just make them come to consensus, and then we can talk about some cool properties of the DAG here. So let's see. Maybe Claire goes next, and I mean, let's see. Claire just sees everybody's message, I guess. So Claire sees Alice, Bob, herself, and Dave. Okay. And she sees a score of 3 for the entry 1 in the first entry, and sees a score of, well, 2 for 4 and 2 for 3. Right, so I guess at this point she can choose to go to 3 for the second entry or stay at 4. So, you know, Claire's pretty stubborn. She wants to stay at 4. All right, so let's see. Maybe Alice goes again and sees her own message, of course, sees Bob's message and Claire's most recent message. So let's go here, here, and here. All right. And so what should the estimate be this time?
Back to 1-4.
Yeah, it looks like score of 3 for 1, so everybody's for 1, and a score of 2 for 4, so it looks like 1-4 is the ticket.
So question here, certainly 1-4 is valid there. I think 1-3 might also be valid because Alice has implicitly seen Dave's most recent block.
Right. Oh, you're right. You're right. Yeah, so it would be, yeah, score of 2 for the second entry to be 3, and a score of 1 for the first entry. Hold on a second. A score of 1, 2, 3 to 1. Right, for the second entry. Right, yeah, because we're looking at everybody's latest message in the justification, right? So not only do we get Alice's latest message, Bob's latest message, and Claire's latest message, but since Dave's latest message in the justification for this latest message from Claire, we also have to take that into consideration.
Right, right. So the point there is that the score is tied in the second entry.
Right, yeah, so it's a 3-3 and a 4-4.
Right, right. Cool. I like it the way you drawn it. I just wanted to make sure I understood that right.
Yeah, I didn't even see that, so I'm glad you pointed that out. Okay, and so let's see, we're just about at consensus, it looks like. I'm sure we could keep it going for a lot longer, but
so I just put Alice sees both Bob and Claire agreeing with her.
So Alice sees Bob and Claire agreeing with her. Yeah, absolutely. Let me draw some arrows on the end of those just so you can point them out. Right, so this one, so that justification, and this one.
Right.
Yeah, so at that point, Claire sees both Bob, or sorry, Alice sees both Bob and Claire agreeing with her.
Yeah. But no one, there's no two validators where they have that relationship symmetrically. There's no like Alice sees Claire agreeing with her and Claire sees Alice agreeing with her.
Yeah, so let's make that happen here next. Then let's let Claire go next, and she's just gonna see Alice's block here. And, you know, technically her own, but there's already an arrow back to it, but I'll just draw it anyways because I feel like it's good to draw it. And, all right, so then here she's going to go, well, let's see. She's got, so there's a score of 1 for the first entry to be 2, and a score of 3 for the first entry to be 1, it looks like.
Yeah.
and looks like score of 1 for the second entry to be 3, and a score of 3 for the second entry to be 4. So we go with that one. Okay. And so now we have that relationship that Joshua was just talking about, right? So now we have 2 validators who are mutually seeing each other, agreeing with one another. So we have Claire seeing Alice, agreeing with her, and we also have Alice seeing Claire, agreeing with her. But we're not in the full situation yet, though, right?
But is it valid now? Is this what we can say, like, there's a 1-4 clique between Alice and Claire?
So that also goes into that not seeing them disagreeing, and I don't think I understand that enough to say that we've met that requirement yet.
Right.
I think we're certainly on the right track, though. Well, so now, at this point, do we have safety of anything? I guess that's the question that I want to put out there. Are any of these estimates safe?
So safe means the validator will never again change their mind and knows that they will never again change their mind.
Right.
So Claire has seen the entire DAG, so she's the one most likely to be safe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right.
So, curious question, and all this came down to at the end in 1 and 4 because Claire, at the one just above it, instead of her going to a 3, she just went to a 4. So the rest, it really kind of just fell all on Claire at the end that we all got here. So if you would have changed that 4 to a 3, how much would that actually change the dynamic, and would it still be at 1-4?
Oh yeah, we probably would have reached consensus on 1-3 if that one that the mouse pointer is next to changed.
Yeah, I guess it would depend on who went next, really, I guess, because if Bob was the next one to go, I don't know, or if somebody saw Bob's message, maybe that would have changed the history too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but okay. I guess that's sort of the point, right? Is that like you shouldn't be able to predict what the consensus value is going to be. It's just like in playing by the rules, like you will get a consensus value, but you shouldn't be able to know what that is a priori, right?
Yeah, I think that's right. If you could know what it was in advance, we wouldn't waste all the time playing the game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, all right. So
Claire will never see a message that will change her mind. If she ever sees a message from Alice that's anything other than 1-4, then Alice has equivocated.
It is. She's never going to see anything that's very compelling to change her mind, right? Because I think you're right, because she's seen Alice say 1-4. She's seen Bob say 1-4. She's saying 1-4. So the only person that can disagree at this point is Dave, but he doesn't have enough weight to sway it away from 1-4.
Right. Oh, interesting. Hold the phone here, though. What if Bob makes another block?
Okay.
We don't draw this in. I'm just going to think through it for a sec. You can draw it if you want, or whatever.
All right.
It's up to you. If Bob makes another block and the only additional thing he sees is Dave's most recent block, then I believe Bob can switch to 1-3.
Well, let's see. So actually, I think we should do this because if Bob sees another block, and he's only seen this message from Dave.
Yeah.
We got to take into account the latest messages and those justifications, and I can't figure out how that works quite yet. So let's see. So then the latest message from Alice is a 1-3. The latest message from Claire is a 0-4. Right, so it looks like it's tied on. So 1 is definitely the first entry, like that's for sure. Yeah, 1 is definitely the first entry, and it looks like he's got a choice now because we got 1, 2, a score of 2 for the second entry to be 3, and a score of 2 for the second entry to be 4. If I'm seeing this correctly. It's a little bit hard to follow at this point, but yeah, it looks like he can go 1-3 or 1-4.
Right.
I think.
Yeah.
What determines the entries or the scores?
Yeah. So the weights of each of the validators. So each of these validators just has weight 1 in this case. And then so since we're looking at this message here that I haven't finished writing. We're saying that Bob has seen, well, his own previous message, and he's seen Dave's latest message. And so the way that we score out each of the entries is we basically look at the latest message from each of the validators for each of these entries. So like, for example, the latest message from Alice in the justification for this message is going to be this top left one. So that'll give a weight of 1 to this entry of 1 in the first entry, and a weight of 1 to the second entry to be 3. And then we do the same thing with each of them. So like, so this was Dave's latest message. So we get a vote of, weight 1 for the first entry to be 2 and the second entry to be 3. And then Bob's seen this block from Claire as well. Ah, crap, I clicked out of it. But he's seen this block as well. So we get another vote for 0 and 4 for the first, the first and second entry, each with weight 1. So we just tally up all of those. And if I'm not mistaken, it looks like 1 definitely wins the first entry, which is why we got it there. And then it looks like 3 and 4 tied for the second entry. So from what we've been doing, we could pick either one. Right, which
Okay, I know I came in a little late, and maybe you guys might have discussed that earlier, but why does Dave has 2 on each of his first entries?
Oh, right. Because so all of these top entries here have empty justification. So these are just kind of like messages to get the game started, basically. So with all of these top entries, they don't reference back to anything, so they can literally just be any pair of integers.
Okay.
David, maybe is what you're stuck on the fact that in the past, every one of these estimates has always been a single number, a 0 or 1, and now it's a list of 2 numbers?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so I was just trying to understand why Dave has 2, whereas Alice, Bob, and Claire has 1 each on their first entry. So I want to know why that was.
Why Dave has 2 what?
The first entry for each of the block.
Oh, you're saying, so Dave has 2 blocks. The first one is 2-4 and the next one is 2-3. And you're saying why is Dave still estimating 2 when everyone else is still already estimating 1?
Mm.
Yes.
Gotcha.
You want to explain that, Joshy?
Yeah, sure. I'll give it a go. Yeah.
Okay.
So first of all, notice, David, that everyone, when they first started, just chose arbitrary numbers. It turns out that Alice and Bob happened to both estimate 1 in their first entry, but that's just a lucky coincidence. It didn't have to be that way. So like Claire estimated 0, Dave estimated 2, maybe if a 5th validator was in there, they would have estimated like 7. People just kind of make up numbers on their first one. And then just like before, when you make subsequent blocks, you're now calculating what entries go in there based on what you've seen. So when Dave makes his second block, that one that's listed as 2-3, The only other block Dave had seen was his own, the 2-4 block, and Alice's original block, that 1-3 block up in the top left.
Yeah,
so
this one.
Yeah, yep, exactly. So those are the only blocks Dave has seen when he's making his second block, and we indicated that with the red lines.
Okay, and also...
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, remember last week while we did this, the justification was only zeros and ones.
Yeah, now that's the big thing that we've changed this week. So in the past, we were playing binary consensus, where all of these validators wanted to come to consensus over a single bit. And remember, all along we've said, like, eventually we're going to work all the way up to where these people come to consensus over a blockchain. So this week we've taken a step toward that. This list of 2 integers is still much simpler than a blockchain, but it's much more complex than a single bit. And so we're kind of starting down that road. So one way to think of this that I was just thinking of is, like, when we first started this thing, I gave this story of, like, hey, imagine we 5 of us are all going to go out to dinner, and we need to agree on where we're going to go to dinner. Well, now the story is, hey, we're all going to go out and have an evening together. We're going to go to dinner, and then we're going to do something else fun. So now we need to decide, first of all, where we're going to go for dinner. You can think of that as the first entry in the list. And then second of all, we need to agree what we're going to do after dinner. So that's like the second item in the list. So maybe Alice says, we're going to go to McDonald's and then watch a movie. And Bob says, we're going to go to McDonald's and then play laser tag. And Claire says, I don't know, we're going to eat pizza and then do something different. So that kind of is the story where now we're coming to consensus over 2 things, a list of 2 integers.
Okay. Yeah, Isaac, you can go on.
All right, cool. Yeah, so in this particular situation that we're in, it looks like that second entry can be either a 3 or a 4, and I actually think it's more interesting to put a 3 because, Joshie, I think this puts us into a situation with seeing a disagreement and also seeing an agreement, right? Because, man, can I just, like, circle things?
Yeah, the entries, they're not... there's not a way to determine that it's determined by you, or it's random, or there's a particular way you determine the entries.
Well, so like in the actual implementation for RChain, right? Like, all of this consensus business is coming from race conditions, which are probabilistic, right? So everybody is presumably just, like, computing something that depends on a race condition and then just saying, like, I got this output for this particular race condition, right? So I guess it's probabilistic, but I'm not sure that's like the most satisfying answer.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
This is a bit abstracted away from how it will actually be implemented for RChain, but it's like small building blocks to get to that point, because blockchain consensus is a totally different thing as well. Much more complicated than lists or just agreeing on bits.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. So something interesting happened here that I want to point out. So let me see if I can just make this a little smaller. Gosh, I need to use a color that I haven't used. All right, brown sounds good. So we had a situation here where that's not what I want. Hold on a second. Let me just draw a shape. There we go. So we had a situation here where Claire saw Bob agreeing with her from this particular message with this justification. But now let's say so now Bob has changed his second entry because of, you know, all of these messages that have been passed at this point. And where are we at? And so now let's say Claire goes next and only sees Bob's most recent message. So let's see, if Claire sees Bob's most recent message only, what should we get for Claire's estimate here? So, well, sees her own latest message and also Bob's latest message. So maybe let me draw the arrows first. So sees her own, sees Bob's. All right, so what should we get for the two entries here? So we got one vote for one, another vote for one, looks like another vote for one, so 3 votes for one and 1 vote for 2, if I'm looking at this correctly. So we should get a 1 here for the first entry. And then for the second entry, it looks like two votes for 3 and 2 votes for 4. So again, we have that option to choose, and you know, Claire is stubborn like before, so she's just going to go 1-4. Okay, but now we're in this interesting situation where, so Claire already saw Bob agreeing with her, and now Claire sees Bob disagreeing with her. Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute there for a second.
Oh, so, all right.
Here's my question.
Yeah.
When Claire sees Bob agreeing with her, that's old news at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So does that still? Should we grab up the paper and see about like what the definition for agreeing and disagreeing was, or sees one agreeing? I thought maybe it had to be recent, but I don't know why I thought that.
Yeah, I can pull up the paper if you want.
Yeah. You wanna?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, give me 1 second.
Get out of here. Do I pause it? No, I stop it, right?
There we go.
We can always go back to that.
Let's see here.
So somewhere in here, there's a definition, and it's definition of like VI sees VJ agreeing or something.
Yeah, I know where it is in the Friendly Ghost paper. I'm not sure where it is in that one. I know he put it in the Simple Safety Oracle section. But again, I don't know if it's the same in this paper. Yeah, probably.
So okay, so we either need to like Control F for like the word agreeing, or we need to get the other paper where we know where it is, right? Okay, let's see. This restriction, fork choices on the parent and child shard will be synchronized. Okay, I'm going to try to grab a link real quick.
If you have the link you want to send it over, I can try to see if I can load it up.
Yeah, let me just see if I can. I think Anson dropped it in the CBC Casper channel a couple of days ago or something.
Oh, but I think that's the paper that he's looking at right now.
Oh, it is?
I think so.
Yeah,
I mean, I haven't seen that paper. That was the Friendly Ghost paper. Here, I have it up.
Okay, cool.
Oh, that's not it. All right, here we go. We got to go to past the ghost stuff. Here we go, Safety Oracle. Yeah, so here he's talking about agreeing or seeing people agreeing.
Yeah, okay, definition 4.1, right. So VI sees VJ agreeing with E in M. So E is an estimate, like in our case, that's 1-4.
Yeah.
VI and VJ are validators, so in our case, that's like Alice and Claire.
Right.
And M is a set of messages, and that part I'm not still totally clear on.
Yeah, so, okay. Mm-hmm.
So VI, okay, so that's that symbol, that arrow with the M below it and the equals and E above it, basically all of that business means VI sees VJ agreeing on estimate E in the set of messages M.
Right.
And then defined as if and only if this equation on the right side.
Right. Yeah, and to unravel the nonsense on the right side, right, I think it's easiest to start working from the most inner thing, which is like this L of VI comma M. So like we start with some set of messages, capital M, and this can be basically any set of messages. But if we want the validator VI to be doing this check, it seems like this set of messages should be something that the validator VI has access to. So it could be like, their whole history or everything they've ever seen in terms of their justification or something. So then we're just looking at the latest message from that particular validator, V sub I, given that set of messages, everything that VI has seen. And then we're looking at the justification for only that latest message. And then we're looking at the latest message from the validator VJ, given that set of messages, which is now the justification from the latest message of that validator VI.
So that's the part that means it has to be recent, right? Because we're talking about only the latest message from VJ, not that one that happened a long time ago.
Yeah, so it all depends on what M we're talking about.
Oh,
right?
You're right.
Yeah, so you can see somebody agreeing in one set of messages and maybe not see them agreeing in another set of messages. And
right. Okay, so can we flip back to our game real quick and try to use that language a little bit?
Yeah.
So if we take M as the set of all the messages Claire has seen, which in this case is basically the whole DAG.
Right.
Then Claire sees Bob agreeing. Then Claire sees Bob disagreeing with her.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the circle you've drawn at the very bottom there.
Right.
But if we take a more reduced set of messages that maybe includes what Claire had seen after her second or third or fourth message, then in that case, Claire sees Bob agreeing with her, and that's the top circle that you've drawn.
Right. Yeah, that could have been like, given Claire's second message and the justification for that message, Claire sees Bob agreeing in that subset of messages.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I feel like we have a good sense of what it means to see someone agreeing, and it does mean recently, but recent is relative to whatever set of messages you're talking about.
Bingo. Yep.
Okay, so is there a separate definition for disagreeing?
There is.
Is it?
And it's a little clunkier than the agreeing definition because it depends on this dependency relation and some other things.
Right. Oh yeah, right. So we talked about dependencies a little bit last week. I know Dror and Isaac, you guys weren't here last week. You guys, Jeremy, you can tell me if this sounds right. Dependency and justification are like super closely related, but justification means exactly one generation ago. Like, what did you literally cite in the justifications of this message? Whereas dependency does it recursively. Dependency means the justifications and all of their justifications and all of their justifications.
Yes, yeah, you're right on that.
Cool. So justifications are only the latest messages from the validators and the dependencies then?
Oh, that's a good way to say it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and so it looks like for the clique stuff, I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but for the clique stuff, it looks like we need to have mutually seeing each other agreeing on some estimate in some set of messages M, and also also not disagreeing on that set of messages, that same set of messages. So this wouldn't be an example where we see an agreeing and a disagreeing in the same set of messages, because we had to restrict our set of messages to see the agreement.
Yeah, right. So, okay, yeah. So I feel like we need to really parse that definition of disagree, because it's not, right now it's not clear to me what it means to see someone agreeing and also see them disagreeing. I don't know how that's possible.
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand the symbols for disagreeing enough to come up with an example, but we can at least try to understand what this string of symbols means.
Maybe that's a good last thing to work on today.
Yeah, all right. So first of all, is everybody okay with the definition of seeing somebody agreeing?
I feel like I get it.
Okay, yeah, I also feel like I get it. I'm not sure how many people are left at this point, but all right, cool. As long as we're both on the same page, let's try to push through.
Okay, so we say that validator VI.
Can you copy this paper in the chat so I can put or have this as well?
Yeah. So if you go to the Casper collab thread or whatever you want to call it, I pinned a bunch of stuff there, including a link to a Google Drive folder, and this is definitely in the Google Drive folder.
So that third bullet point is where it starts to get tricky for me. First of all, I never remember which one's VI and VJ. That always trips me out.
Yeah, so VI is the one that's trying to see the sender VJ disagreeing or agreeing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So VJ, the one that is maybe being seen.
Yeah.
Has,
right.
Quote, new latest message for VI.
M,
which is in the set of messages M, where this new latest message depends on the VJ's latest message and the justification of the latest message from VI.
Well, wait a second. I think the way that you parse these symbols here is that this message M comes later than the latest message from this validator given this justification.
Yeah. Later than. I read that as depends on.
I think the dependency is on the other side. Yeah, so M is not dependent. So M is, I don't know what either way. Yeah, comes later then is the way they said to read it in there.
But that means that, okay, right. So we've got the symbol that looks like a greater than arrow, right? M greater than something. And you're reading that as M later than something. And I totally agree that that's correct way to read it. But I'm now also trying to draw out that what that really means is that in M's dependencies, whether it's an immediate justification or a couple layers recursively deep, somewhere in M's dependencies is this something, this L of VJ, JL, etc.
Yeah.
Because that's what later than means, right?
Right. Yeah, and I think and also it could be the case that M is actually that latest message too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Correct. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So I think I think all of that is true.
Okay, and this M disagrees with E. The estimate of M is not equal to E. So the only part I don't get is new latest message.
Right. Yeah, and I don't know why he's calling it. Well, yeah, all right. Yeah, the new latest message. So,
because it says the second bullet point says VJ has exactly one latest message, and then a bunch of stuff that's hard to read. But then later, VJ has a new latest message.
So VJ has exactly one latest message in the justification of VI's latest message.
Oh. So VI, the seer, has some latest message, and in its dependency, there's a message from VJ, the one who's being to, in this case, disagree. So VJ, so VI has seen VJ say something, which they denote given that way. But then, VJ has a new latest message for VI. Yeah, I don't get that part.
Can we try to draw it out?
Yeah, that seems like
yeah, maybe. Let's see. Do we already have an example here?
Yeah, it's hard to say because I don't remember. I don't fully feel like I.
Hold on a second. There's a way I can split my screen, but I don't know how to do it. I really wish I did, because then I could just put them both up there. That's not it. Yeah, I really don't know how to do that.
Well, it's actually after 1 o'clock already, so maybe we should take this as homework and each try to draw up an example of Alice seeing Bob disagreeing, and then we can start there next time.
Yeah, God, I would really like to see an example of agreeing and disagreeing in the same set of messages. So we can work on that, and then we'll come back next week and we'll think about it, and we'll have good ways to explain it and illustrate it. Yeah, that sounds great. All right, cool. Good work today, everybody. Yeah, thanks, guys. Definitely. Yep. So I have a question. Here's a non-content question before we wrap, though. Does anyone want to volunteer to sort of play host for this next week? And as you know, like, it's really community driven and it's a discussion. So hosting doesn't really mean anything more than sending the email and everything, maybe taking the first screen share. Anybody want to step up to do that?
I mean, if no one else, I can try. It's like, the thing is, timing here is like 2 a.m. So I can try, and if there's a backup, that would be a good idea. If I don't make it,
I mean, I'll give it a shot. I might like totally screw up, but you know, it's all part of the thing,
it's no pressure. And actually, that's why it's nice to pass it around, because if Isaac and I always do it, we're just going to dive into the parts we find most interesting, and it'll be less community friendly. So I would love it if one of you.
Okay, so
let's say it's Drawer. Drawer, you're going to send out the invite email and everything, pre-reading, and if at the last minute you're feeling tired and don't want to stay up till 2 a.m., then you'll tap in Jeremy and he'll take it over from there.
Cool. Sounds good.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Now it's so crazy. Thanks, like, now I'm starting to like more hang out with you guys. I'm starting to actually read math equations more. I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool.
Good. That's awesome. It's infectious.
See you guys next week.
Yeah, see you guys.
All right, take care.
Yeah.
You too.